My name is Clarice Perryman. I'm a graduate student in the Department of Earth Sciences at the University of New Hampshire. My research focus is studying the carbon dynamics of thawing permafrost. There's a lot of permafrost in the Arctic, and as climate warms, that permafrost is beginning to thaw. And when permafrost thaws, microbes will start to decompose in the soil. And as they do that, they generate emissions of gases like carbon dioxide and methane. Methane is much more powerful than carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Methane traps more heat.
I'm Keith Larson. I'm a scientist. I'm a researcher from Umeå University in northern Sweden. I live here in Abisko. I study climate here. I study plants, I study insects, and the interactions between the environment and these organisms to try to understand how the climate's changed in the last 100 years.
So what I do in the field is I collect cores of peat or very organic soil from different sites at a permafrost peatland.
I love experiential learning, and I don't think there's much more experiential learning than fieldwork.
And then over the course of a few days, I track how the methane is depleted or consumed by the bacteria in that peat.
100 years ago, a Swedish botanist established a transect from the summit going east-west down to the valley, and that transect he measured the phenology of all the plants. So this is one of the most detailed plant phenology studies done in the world, and absolutely the most detailed in the Arctic, and now we're repeating it 100 years later. This study on this mountain is, really on the front line of climate change. I mean, the Arctic is where the climate is changing the fastest. The Arctic disproportionately controls a massive part of the Earth's climate. That's why the Arctic's so important.
The Nordic Fellowship has helped me move towards my research goals by giving me the resources I needed to travel to the Abisko Scientific Research Station, which is a place where scientists not only from Sweden, but all over Northern Europe and all over the world come together to study earth and environmental sciences. And it's a great collaborative space.
You learn a lot just by being out here and getting to observe other people.
And it's important for researchers to get together to work on these things because the questions that we are focused on now really need interdisciplinary teams to solve them. The people that I've met here may become my colleagues and co-authors on papers and studies that I do 10, 20, 30 years down the line from now.
When I think about the people who come here as interns, it's an amazing experience. I mean, imagine getting to come here and live for 2, 3, 4 months and then study up here. You may never have a chance like that again in your entire life. So this is a very special time for people.
Working with organizations like the Nordic Fellowship and with Scandinavian Seminar can create collaborations between people from different disciplines that will help get the messages we're trying to send out. One of the things I love most about coming up to the Arctic is that everything just seems bigger. The sky seems bigger, time seems bigger because the sun doesn't set when you're here in the summer, and really gives you space to think and to grow, not only in your academic and research work, but also personally. I think a lot of self-discovery and self-learning happens here, particularly when you're working on projects that are challenging and really push your boundaries and really push you to problem solve. The Arctic is a critical place to study. Climate change needs attention. I think the more fronts that we take to get that message out, the better.